Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Wars Stuff podcast. This is going to be the Andor Season 2, Episodes 1, 2, and 3 spoiler react show. My name is David.
I'm Colin.
I'm Ted.
Craig 5 standing by.
Perfect. This is where we talk all things Andor. This is going to be a spoiler reaction show. We just saw 3 episodes. The first time Disney, Lucasfilm has ever given us 3 episodes on a single night. It was an hour and a half, basically. Is that what it came out to?
I thought it was more than that.
2
It was
hours?
almost 2
2.5
hours.
hours?
Yeah, I think it was over 2 hours, David.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
We talked about it earlier, and I said hour and a half, and nobody corrected me. But
Oh, okay. Yeah, no.
yeah,
Well,
I
I
think
think
it was like 50. I think it was 51, 40 something, and then
Yeah.
55. I think the third episode was the longest.
so. We're
Yeah,
like
and-
2.5 hours of pure
and,
okay.
bliss.
And the next 3 episodes will be 54 minutes. Like each one will be 54 minutes each. So
So
Wow.
wow, almost 3 hours. That's
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah. So what did everyone think on their first viewing, Colin?
it was good. I'm making this reaction now just because I'm processing it. Again, this is spoilers, and I'm not gonna say it directly, but the scene with the officer and Bix, that's wild to me. That they did that.
I
That's
was thinking they're not gonna have that in a Star Wars show, are they? I really.
and the fact that they actually had her say it too was absolutely insane to me. Because the whole point, like one great thing about Star Wars is like you are escaping from the real world, right? And the fact that they brought that in is kind of insane to me. And I'm surprised they didn't even add like a trigger warning or anything. Because, maybe some people are not expecting that. So they, yeah, I don't know. That just was kind of wild to my wife and I when we were watching. I was like, are they actually gonna like actually go down that road? And then they did, and then they actually had her say the word, and you're just like, wow, that's absolutely insane. I can't believe that they, yeah. So it's shown you the very, very dark tone of where the season is going. So sorry if I dampen anyone's mood. I'm still like, just kind of.
It was shocking.
Yeah.
It was certainly. Yeah, I was shocked too. I was thinking to myself, "Wow, are they really gonna go this way?" And
Yeah.
then, they did, and I mean, it's a whole different tone. It's a different kind of Star Wars.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not from the get-go, it's not felt like a Star Wars like show that you want to show young kids. You know what I mean? Like my daughter watches a lot of the Star Wars shows with me, Mandalorian, Book of
Yeah.
Boba Fett, but she hasn't seen Andor because I didn't feel like she could follow the storyline and the plot. She's
Yeah.
only 7. So we haven't watched that one together. But
Yeah. And I think
clearly not a
and-
kid show.
Right. And the other thing too is like you have episode 1 and 2, and then you have episode 3. And I felt like the first 2 were very different vibes compared to like the third episode. The like third episode was like very dark. It was very, more dark tone than the other 2. And I don't know. I mean, I kind of think maybe this is one of the darkest episodes that we've gotten, like just kind of theme wise. I could be wrong on that. Like from maybe I'm the only one, but there were a lot of very like it was weird to jump to those dark scenes, and then you have Mon Mothma getting drunk at a wedding and just kind of like dancing it out, and then we go back to like a very dark thing going on.
But she
It's
looked
just like-
miserable.
Yeah,
It was interesting.
Yeah.
The dynamic was she's dancing like you're supposed to be happy, but she looked absolutely miserable. And I thought that's what made the scene compelling. Because if you look, you're dancing, you're supposed to be happy, having a good time.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, she did not look like she looked like in the worst state we've ever seen her.
Yeah. So
Which is what I think they were trying to get at. You know what I mean?
yeah.
To me, I have to say, I think my favorite part of all 3 episodes was the mother and Dedra.
Yeah,
I
that was an
laughing
awkward dinner.
so much, and then when she finally was like stood up to, because at first I was like, how is this Imperial officer afraid of this old woman? And then she set her straight, and I thought that was, oh man, I thought that was the best. I don't know, for some reason I thought that was like the best part.
Yeah, no, all of those, because as soon as they like even mentioned like her coming over, I was like, that's gonna be the most awkward dinner of all time.
It was hilarious. He'll
Yeah.
call twice a month. You'll see him
Yeah.
twice a week or twice a month. He'll call. He'll do this, but
He was just having anxiety. He was just laying on the bed, like just being miserable.
that
It
part
was-
was so funny.
oh man.
I literally laughed out loud at that part because then they're in
Yeah.
the next room and he's like, "Oh, I gotta get up."
Yeah.
So many like real life sort of situation scenarios, and dare I say a little bit of the maybe current political climate, because Bix and the others are undocumented field workers on this
Yeah.
planet, and so much of
Look at
what
Colin's face.
Well, I'm again, I'm processing everything here because of
Yeah.
there were a lot of different themes going on in these 3 episodes. There
Yeah.
was a lot. There was like a civil war happening, and like at the end of episode 1, going into episode 2, like just amongst these people, and then we realize when they're leaving, it's Yavin. So it's
That
just
was
like,
crazy.
yeah. So it's just
That-
like, oh, okay. So
That part
that
was so
episode,
crazy.
right. And now it makes sense why that everything happened, because again, I don't like things to just be there to be there. Like, it's got to make sense. And now it makes sense why they're on that planet, because it's Yavin. Cassian, will probably be helping with, hey, there's this planet I was on. We should go back there. So, yeah.
I had an
Although
idea.
why would he want to go back to that planet? It was an awful planet.
I don't know, man.
From their perspective, there was no food. There was whatever those creatures were. They kind of look like reeks.
Yes.
They
Is
weren't,
that what they
though.
called, reeks?
Well,
Or no, wait.
I don't think they were.
so I swear I thought they were creatures that we saw in Star Wars Battlefront 2, because if you play Star Wars Battlefront 2, there are some kind of idle creatures of when you're landing on the battlefield and then you're going on Yavin. I don't think they are, but they kind of had like the same kind of pattern on their skin or scales or fur, but I'm probably wrong on that. But yeah. No, I to finish your long question with short question with my long answer, I enjoyed the first 3 episodes. I was very shocked by some of the things that happened in them, clearly from my long answer here, but I am excited to see where the rest of the season goes. We know where it ends, but I'm excited to see like all the other stuff happening. I know most likely we'll probably getting the Gorman massacre for the next 3. That is probably like the best next move. Plus, each episode is almost an hour long, so important stuff is going to be going down.
Yep.
So, but yeah.
So, Colin, can you explain what the Gorman massacre is?
So that is the event that makes Mon Mothma leave the Senate, and Mon Mothma gives she gives the speech in the Senate, and it's pretty much said that she's given the speech like directly to Palpatine when they're in the Senate, and then she leaves, and then she joins the rebellion. And you actually see that in Rebels. You actually see part of that speech being said. And what's really cool is that it's the same actress that that voiced Mon Mothma in Rebels, and she's playing her in live action. We actually saw her in live action for the first time in a deleted scene in Revenge of the Sith. But this event something bad happens to where it's like the breaking point for Mon Mothma. And she's like, all right, I'm out. I'm not hiding anymore in the shadows. She ends up giving the speech. She leaves the Imperial Senate and then joins the rebellion. And we actually see that in an episode of Star Wars Rebels. So it's going to be something intense. We don't know
Do you
exactly
think that
what
we'll
happens.
see that in the next arc, though, or because that?
I think so. I think the long episodes are going to be like, like the big, like these next 3 episodes are going to be 54 minutes each. And that
Wow.
indicates to me a lot of storytelling, a lot of action, most likely. And they already talked about, them potentially planning the Gorman massacre in the first episode, I believe, because you had Krennic there. They were planning everything, trying to think of ways that they can make this happen. To me, it would be interesting if they save that for the end. Because, well, it depends on the timeline here. Hang on, because we can actually figure this out. Because we can see when the Gorman massacre actually happened. Because the actual timeline in the timeline's book that actually says when it happens, how many years before the events of Yavin. So we can actually find out if it actually happens in the next episode. Because of
two BBY, so it won't be next week. It'll be the week after.
Okay, there you go. I was wrong. Okay, so that's going to be, and then how long are those episodes then? 7, 8, and 9. Hang on, stand by.
Did you guys kind of find it interesting that it said BBY 4 and not 4 BBY?
At the time, no, but now that you
But
say
now,
It's kind of interesting that they kind of like flip-flopped it.
okay. So 7, 8, and 9, those episodes, it's 44 minutes, 47 minutes, and then the last episode, 9 of that arc will be 58 minutes, which to me that indicates that's where the actual massacre will probably go down.
Right, a huge battle.
Yeah.
Caleb on X says, "Do we not feel the less happened in this 2.5 hours than the first 2.5 hours of season 1?"
I kind of agree with that thought process. And I kind of, I don't remember if I said this in our pre-show. I feel like this first 3 episodes is gonna be about setting up everything going forward. Like, we got to get caught up. We need to get caught up with these characters. We need to get caught up with what's going on. And so, yes, am I surprised that we spent 2 days in this jungle, or 2 episodes in this jungle, with Cassian being a prisoner, and then this wedding has got me not confused but intrigued. Like, if it's, I feel like there's a political scheme at hand, but I do not have all the pieces of the puzzle to figure out what exactly is happening. I'm expecting like a red wedding to happen by the end of this, or some sort of power grab to occur because of this this wedding matrimonial setup situation. So I'm trying to figure out why we're spending so much time at a wedding, but maybe we will get the answers and it'll lead to something, either more sinister or just more dramatic in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. I definitely think it will get more and more political, especially towards the end, just because everything will lead. I think the big climax of this show will be the Gorman massacre, just because of that is the event that really kickstarts other rebel cells to join the overall rebel alliance. And then I think where we see where we actually see Cassian and the trailer where he's walking on like Yavin, I think that's going to be like in the last 3 episodes. because we know exactly where the show is going to end, which it's funny because most of the time you don't know. And like, you know, it's not just Star Wars, but just in certain shows, like you don't know exactly where it's going to end, but we know exactly where the show is going to end because it leads directly into Rogue One. So that's the kind of stopper for some people, because it's like, what's the point of watching this, you know, show if I know what's going to happen? But the thing is, the characters that we met in season 1, no one is safe unless we know who the characters were beforehand, because we knew Cassian, we knew Mon Mothma, but the rest of the people, oh well, and Krennic as well, but the rest of the cast and characters, you know, these are new characters. No one is safe, and at the end of this episode, that's very clear. No one is safe, because I was really, really bummed, because of, he was great. He was fantastic, and his name is Brussel, right?
Brasso.
Okay,
Brasso.
all right. Yep, yeah. I really enjoyed his character, especially in season 1. So it was sad to see him not make it.
Yeah, that stunk.
Yeah.
His name is essentially Hug in Spanish.
Hug. Oh.
Yeah. I'm expecting a Rogue One situation where everyone has to die that we don't see in Rogue One.
Yeah.
So it feels like everyone.
I don't necessarily think everyone's gonna, like, I don't think Mon Mothma's husband and daughter are gonna die.
I mean, there is the
You?
Gorman
Although
massacre.
I gotta tell you, I do not like her daughter. She is awful.
Yeah. Well, they could be on Gorman, and maybe that's the thing that like really is just like, you know what, this is it. I can't take it anymore. Like, and that's the thing that makes her cross over that line and joins the rebellion. I mean, something has to be like really huge. She like does care about the planet, but I think maybe it's got to be really personal for her in order to make her leave the Empire. And I think killing off her husband and her daughter, even though they both are kind of resenting her at this point, you know, that could be the thing. That could be the trigger. You know, because when something happens to you personally, you know, for some people, it just takes that moment to kind of make you snap and kind of go over. And this could be the thing that makes her leave. That's my prediction, but yeah.
What do you think we'll see Tay again, or do you think it's going to be implied and happen off screen? Mon Mothma's friend.
I think we have to see it or get confirmation some way.
I think we'll get confirmation. I was thinking they would show the assassination. I thought, you know, she's like driving the speeder. I thought it'd be a quick turnaround, like shoot him in the face or something, and then just, you know, keep on driving. But you know, I would say
that was a quick turn of events, like, because he was so helpful in season 1, and now all of a sudden he's like drinking. His wife left him, and
honestly, after these 3 episodes, to me, anything can happen. Because of the whole vibe was bouncing back and forth, because there were some funny moments. There were absolutely some funny moments where I'm just like, well, wait, like, well, what's going on? Like, you know, it's funny. And then you jump to very serious, you know, themes. And then you jump back to, like of just, yeah, I don't know. Just this show is going to be really interesting going forward. And I'm intrigued and excited to see where it goes. Having the, and then the other thing about the music too, in episode 1 of season 1, that song that you hear at the wedding was in that episode, because it's where Cassian goes to the brothel to look for his sister. That's where we know that song from.
Really? Is that the same song? You're talking about the dance song?
Yes.
with
Yeah.
the robot playing the.
Yep. Yep.
It's
So-
remixed a little bit.
Yeah. It's like more like, kind of upbeat and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I think this season's going to be a lot more serious than the last one. And the first season was, kind of serious. So, I think they were kind of playing like the ground to see where they could go. Cause, Tony Gilroy even said that, Cassian's mom of the actress, when they were filming the speech of where she says fight the empire, she actually dropped the F-bomb and then they just dubbed it over. So they were so willing to go over that edge, and I think they'll be doing that a lot for this season. I think
I want to know where that word was placed in that line, because that's pretty epic, if you ask me. That's hardcore.
Yeah, because of she was like, stop running, and then she's like, fight the empire, and then they knock it over, and the original line was,
F
the empire. Yeah, like F the empire.
Oh,
and yeah, and then I guess Disney was like, no, we're not ready for that yet. But I mean,
we're ready for assault by officers on women, but we're not ready for the F word yet.
They actually sweared a couple of times in these episodes, because of, I think, like the like Cassian says shit at some point, and they say some other swear words as well, and you're just like, oh, okay. So yeah, no, this season is definitely gonna be more of a serious tone than the first one, in my opinion. Well,
Yeah, also a Hattis swear word, I believe. I think one of them says like Ichuta or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, now they left the droid too, as far as I could tell.
B2
Yes, and that's frustrating. That's so sad. I really like that droid.
Everyone loves B2 Emo.
Yeah,
I know.
and
Why wouldn't they go back and get him? It's not like there were any stormtroopers chasing after him.
Well, Brasso
makes-
already explained,
Yeah.
like, you're gonna stay with them now, and right then that happened.
Yeah,
Yes.
because of
But that was
they
only
didn't know
supposed to be
that.
for a few minutes, though, not like
Well,
or a few days.
I don't think they knew if Cassian was actually coming back or not. I think at that point they were like, we need to leave. But it makes sense now if he's not in the rest of the show, because we only saw him in the trailers when they were on that planet. So we haven't seen him like in any other environment, I don't think. So,
One of the things that I kind of thought originally was that they were going to take his like memory and put it into K2SO. That's what I was thinking, but
Still could happen.
Dude, no. K2SO is replacing B2 Emo. No, I just realized that. That's so sad.
But I thought they were going to actually take his personality and put it into him.
I don't think we'll do that. I mean, because they actually did that in Solo, because when L3 gets shot, they just put her memory and everything into the Falcon, and they've already done that. So I don't know. I don't think they need to do that again. No.
And they're two different personalities, really, I think. Right? Because K2SO was more of like the kind of like the smart ass, and B2 Emo was more childlike in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe in a different body, he blossoms.
Maybe with some different programming. So what did you guys think of the CGI and all the effects and all the environments?
Thought it was amazing. I didn't have any complaints.
Yeah, no, I thought it was good. The only time I noticed there was a decent amount of CGI was in the last episode, of where like the seed falls on top of the stormtroopers. I think that's the only like big one where it was just like, oh, okay, like those definitely weren't real guys. Like those guys were animated when the seed fell on top of them. But other than that, it was solid throughout the entire time.
What did you think, David? Is there a reason that you mentioned it?
Because when I saw the first episode at Celebration, it looked very, very clear and crisp, and I didn't see any issues with that first episode.
Ah.
And it was incredible to see it on a big screen, and I heard no complaints about that whatsoever.
There you go.
It did seem a little slower than I thought I was that I thought they were going to give us in the first episode, but kind of rewatching it, it felt a little bit faster at home, which is a weird experience. Anna on Facebook kind of talks about that. She says, coming in late, I hope for more action in the next episodes because these 3 were kind of slow, in my opinion. I mean, they were typical Andor episodes to me. It was kind of par for the course in a way, but every single week, it's an entire year that we're exploring. And next week, we'll get the second year, 3 years before Rogue One, essentially. And,
So then, okay, so if the next episode is a year later, I think Tay's got to be gone. I don't think we're going to see him. I don't think they're going to wait a year to assassinate that dude.
I don't think we're gonna see him again. I don't like.
That makes the most sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we'll just kind of, because this is jumping a year, so I could see like in the next episode they just kind of, like they just kind of maybe talk about how they faked his death or like, I mean, not faked his death, but like faked the accident when it was clearly a murder. They could say that something went wrong with the speeder and it crashed on the side of a mountain or something like that.
Yeah, well, he was drinking or something, so
Yeah.
they could easily say that. Or
so was Mon Mothma. She was taking those shots, just like, all right, let's go. And then she was dancing, and I think at one point when she was dancing, she was crying, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is so like stressing me out right now.
well, that's
like,
what made it so interesting that she wasn't like happy. She was like trapped.
Yeah, and on Facebook mentions, yes, it was bouncing a lot back and forth. I like the bouncing. I mean, it like upped the tension, and I like the juxtaposition between the wedding and the encounter between Cyril's mom and Dedra, and then on that wheat planet. What was the name of the wheat planet again? That everyone thought it was Lethal.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm kind
remember.
of glad it wasn't.
Start with a C, right?
Yeah, I don't remember it, but yeah, I liked it. The tension building, it was fantastic. It's almost weird to now think about the fact that these are 3 episodes. They should have just made it one giant episode. You know? I mean, it feels like every year is its own like
they could have.
Because I mean, think about it. If they're releasing 3 episodes every night, why not just combine it all and just give it to us in one shot?
Yeah, you know what? They could have done that. It would have made total sense just to do like one long movie.
Feels like maybe they figured this out late in the game because all the credits were done and it was all kind of set up as singular episodes.
Well, maybe because I think they had the same director for all 3, but it would make sense if you have to change the director.
And I think each of the credits is maybe like around 7 minutes long. That sounds about right. Yeah.
There's also a lot that goes into contracts for TV shows. Sometimes you're obligated to a certain number of episodes, no matter what the context, no matter what the script is about, and you're having to deliver a certain amount of episodes and pay actors, crew, directors a certain amount based on number of episodes and what's getting done.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I could see for the contract for the workers. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because, of course, this is a Disney show on the Disney streaming service, so that wouldn't make a difference. But as far as like working, yeah.
Now, the character that Andor went to go find on that planet, or Yavin, now that we know, was that a character we knew before or no?
No. I've never heard the name.
I didn't think so.
Yeah. And the only reason why, if it was a character that we knew and they killed him off screen, was it would have to be because of an actor issue, but I don't think that was the case because I've never heard the name. So
Yeah, it feels like if as far as like writing the story, it was just a character that was just never going to be seen. It's just to
Yeah.
move the story along.
Yep. So my guess is for the next 3 episodes, we'll probably get like a Saw Gerrera, kind of themed episodes, because we know Saw is more involved in this final season. So my guess is we'll probably see him, like see a lot more of him, probably see his injuries, like, because we know, by the time of Rogue One, like he's like, almost like Darth Vader. Like he like even has like the same kind of like breathing thing, and
Yeah.
and they actually use the same
Yeah.
like sound effect too. So, you know.
Yeah. The Legacy of Nerd says, just finished watching. I don't think I understood anything that really happened other than Cassian stealing that ship. Lots of laughs. If you didn't watch season 1, if you're kind of not in the know, you're going to be kind of lost.
Yeah.
But I think Tony Gilroy did a really good job with the tension and making you feel that stuff was going on, stuff wasn't going the way of our good guys, and it was great. Even if you didn't know anything that was going on, I think it was great storytelling, even though it was a little technical. Emperor Raccooner just came in. What do you think of the first 3 episodes? I thought they were great storytelling.
I really liked it.
Solid. Yeah.
Now I have to say, it's not like episodes that I could see myself going back to watch over and over again, but they were great episodes.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like
Yes.
with Mandalorian, I'll go back and watch like the episode with Boba Fett again, or the Luke Skywalker one, or you know what I mean. They feel very Star Warsy to me, but
Right.
these are
Exactly.
great, and I love them. But I don't feel like I'd go back and continuously watch these.
Right. And I think a show like Andor proves a point that Star Wars is a genre, and you can do different things within Star Wars. That's not the
Yeah.
Mandalorian. That's not the Acolyte. That's not Visions. I mean,
Yeah.
Andor is very dark, very gritty, very real world, and tonight kind of proved it with these first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Tony Gilroy sees his creative process is that way, the real, tangible world that we live in, the situations that we come across in daily life. That's what he knows. That's what he writes, and this just essentially has a Star Wars skin over it. I really think about how does a story group interact with Tony Gilroy, and how do they get him to maybe change what he's written. And I've heard many stories about how Tony Gilroy's been given notes by, I don't know, executives, Disney or whatever, and he just doesn't listen to them. He just does what he thinks is necessary, and it's worked. And this is his last season. He's going to move on to do different things.
It's a shame.
And it feels like he has more freedom, in a sense, to do what he wants to do. And he has the proven work of Andor season 1 to show, hey, look, everybody loves this. Everybody is saying this is the best thing. A lot of people are saying this is the best thing that we've ever done. So let me do my thing. And he's doing it. And we've heard all the reviews and the reports. This is going to be darker and grittier, and it's also seeming to be faster and more intense too, which I like.
Can I say that I'm surprised that the sort of the stories are so self-contained. When the format was told to us that we are going to be, spacing these a year apart, makes me think there's a lot of ground we got to cover for it to make sense. If all the episodes that are released are sort of taking place within a few days of each other, right? Cassian steals this ship, and then he finally escapes and gets back to that field planet probably in like 3 days, 4 days tops. I'm hoping that the rest of the season feels cohesive and not just like 4 separate weeks of 4 very different arcs each week. that's probably why it makes sense to release them that way, because they're just it might be four separate movies that we're getting, and it might work out, it might be great, but it kind of made more sense to me that we're going to be pushing the story narrative really quickly. It'll be fast paced, things will be moving, but this week isn't indicative of that happening. So like I mentioned, I think we're just getting a lot of setup, hopefully, this
Yeah.
first week. I enjoyed it. It's written well. The effects are great. Performances are good. It feels very down to earth and relatable in a lot of ways. A lot of, mirroring of our current political climate that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
But we'll see kind of where it goes from here. And I'm hoping that Tony just writing pushes the narrative a little bit further, and we're kind of covering more plot points quicker over the episodes, not just kind of sitting on one or two things over the 3 episode groupings.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I agree with that. Um, to get the 3 episodes every single week, I don't think that's going to matter as much for it to be all one cohesive season. But I think when you look back on it, if we do decide to do like a marathon and marathon it, it might make more of a difference. But as of right now, I mean, I haven't seen the episodes. I know a lot of media have, and they say it continues to get better. It's great. So we shall see. Emperor Raccooner also states that's good to hear. I totally get you. I like them too. Definitely feels different in contrast to other Star Wars projects. But I think Star Wars should explore more genres and themes in the future, in my opinion.
Agreed.
No.
Yeah, Star Wars is totally a genre. I think they can do whatever they want. Hopefully, another Tony Gilroy will pass on through, because this is great. Like Craig said, it's not something that I want to revisit as much as I do with like The Mandalorian, because it is Star Wars, but then again, it kind of isn't in a sense. But yeah, there's a lot of Andor fans out there. When I was in Japan, Diego Luna got a huge pop every time he showed up on stage. And even when he was by himself, he got a lot of applause. And I think I mentioned this on the pre-show, but when I was in Japan, the first day, it didn't feel like there were a lot of locals at the show. It felt like it was just nothing but foreigners. You didn't see too many Japanese people. On the last day, on the Sunday, you did. You felt it. It was almost like they waited until the passes got really low, and Sunday was pretty much the only day they could get. And yeah, Sunday felt like a first day of a celebration, not a last day, with the amount of people that were there.
How weird.
Yeah, a very strange feeling. I went in there thinking the crowds were going to be really small and I could just kind of walk freely places, but it was pretty jam packed.
Anyone have a theory on what the rebellion wants to do with this ship that was stolen, or is it really just to kind of like, see what the enemy's working with, make their own ships using the same technology, sort of reverse engineer it, maybe?
Good question. No ideas yet.
What's the status of the rebellion's armada of X-wings?
I was just thinking that same thing.
Well, so where this is taking place in the timeline is, I mean, honestly, I think this is actually happening around the beginning of season 1 of Star Wars Rebels, because Star Wars Rebels, the beginning of it, I believe it takes place 4 years before the events of A New Hope leading into Rogue One. So these events are kind of slowly, they will end up crossing over at some point. And I believe we don't get full X-wings until maybe the end of the 3rd season, maybe the beginning of the of the 4th season. We don't see Y-wings until later, because they are the Clone Wars Y-wings, and then they're manufactured. And they're actually smuggled out of a base by the help of Hondo Onaka, funny enough. And then they are using A-wings a lot, but they don't use the X-wings until near the end of this era, leading into a New Hope. But yeah.
What did our viewers think?
Yeah,
Well-
everyone out there on chat, chime in with your opinion on these 3 episodes. Let us know what you thought. Also, like the video if you could. What references did everyone catch in these 3 episodes? I know that one of the code names was Kafring, and when I heard that in Japan, I was like, "Wait a minute, they just say the Ring of Kafring?" But yeah, Kafring was like a code word. We did get a mention of Tarkin, correct?
We did. Yep.
Yeah, that was interesting that they were having it hidden from him as well. Right? That's what Krennic said. That even he didn't have the clearance to know what was going on, which was interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he's standing there at the end of the Revenge of the Sith watching it being built.
Wait, who?
Tarkin.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's with Palpatine and Vader on the bridge.
Yeah, because of even in Rebels, they are talking about Stardust and Tarkin doesn't know really anything until he quotations very very like strong quotations here when he teams up with Krennic, because we know their work relationship because of Tarkin ends up taking credit for pretty much everything that Tarkin pretty much takes credit for everything that Krennic ended up doing, and he pretty much says, hey, I'm doing this because you have a security leak and it's Galen Erso, so now it's my station. And then you kind of have that thing in Rogue One where Krennic is trying to get back at Tarkin, but then Tarkin blows him up. Like he actually shoots the laser directly where Krennic is standing and just boo, like poof, gone. Yeah. So yeah, we'll probably see that political rivalry probably near like the end of the show too. Yeah. We'll see more of Saw at some point. There's still a lot of ground to cover. I'm kind of happy going in blind in these episodes and not knowing like a bunch of stuff. Like I think the main thing that I know about is the Gorman massacre. But other than that, it's kind of nice to like kind of be in the not know and just kind of be like, oh, okay, so this is happening. So I'm excited to see.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay away from the trailers and the clips and everything. I don't want to get spoiled.
Yeah,
I wonder how good a job the spoilers and all the leaks will not drop, because like I said, a lot of people have seen every single episode. So be careful out there.
Yeah. This what do we call them? A militia on Yavin that Cassian runs into in the first episode?
Maybe just like guerrilla fighters?
Yeah. What a bunch of morons.
Yeah.
I was seriously like, what a bunch of idiots. I'm surprised Cassian wasn't kind of more forceful about like, you guys have no idea what you're doing. Just let me help you survive. That was comical. The entire like first episode and a half, just him being captured, and they're all just buffoons. They have no idea what they're doing. They got no plan. They got no leadership whatsoever. And then they start killing each other. I'm just like, wow, this could not get any worse.
I felt like
what the rebellion has like on their side. Like they're screwed. They're so screwed.
Right. I mean, so, and again, I think those guys were I think that group was a rebel cell. And at this point, there are different rebel cells that don't know about some of the other rebel cells, because in Star Wars Rebels, Hera's the only real one that actually knows there's other rebel cells out there. and Zeb and them are just like, hey, it's just a small crew just doing the right thing. Like they're not even thinking about like the overall picture. That's probably what's happening with this group. They're not thinking of the overall picture, because when Cassian says, "I'm on your side. We're all on the same team here," they all look confused. They're all just like, "Huh?"
Jesus.
Yeah. So yeah, I do agree. All of those guys are morons. Like I just felt like that whole like at first that felt like a filler type episode thing going on with everything happening, but then I was like, no, there has to be a reason for it. And then I was thinking about the whole thing about the rebel cells, and then you get that shot where Cassian's leaving and it's Yavin, and you're like, okay,
You
it
know
all
what?
makes sense now.
You know where I felt where it was going is that Cassian's been in their shoes at one point.
Yeah.
Like, brand new to all this,
Mhm.
no idea what he's doing,
Yep.
making mistakes, kind of clumsy about things. So I thought, oh, okay, well, he's gonna kind of like take a page out of Luthen's book and be a little bit more hard nosed with them, and like, I don't know, just get them to shape up and do all that stuff. No, not at all. None of that happened whatsoever. He basically just didn't even care if they survived. I don't think he's gonna call for like a rescue on that planet anyway. So he's literally just leaving all these guys for dead. Shot one of them to get away. I mean, he really just felt like these guys are just, they're just trash. They can just be thrown away. There's no use in bringing them along for the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, wild.
Well, it's interesting that when he jumped in the tie and he started to take off, he just didn't mow them all down. I thought that was going to happen. He was like pointing right at them. I was like, oh, is he going to do it?
He knew
But no, he
he knew
didn't.
they were dead. He knew they can't feed themselves. They
But I
can't
don't think
do
he saw the
anything.
point. I
That's
don't
true.
like I think he was flying away, and I think he was just like, this is so pointless. I honestly think he was so annoyed by the whole situation. He's like, what a waste of my time. Like he just didn't want to waste any more time with them at all, and
Yeah,
he just
yeah.
left. Yeah.
I think he just
Wild.
didn't see any point. He's just like, I'm out of here. That's all he cared
Yeah.
about. He was focused on his mission and
Yeah.
getting back to the people that he cared about.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see more frustration out of him. I know we got a little bit of it, but seriously, just him like fed up with these kids and their bickering, just like arguing back and forth. I would have laughed my ass off if he was just a little bit more like, "You got to be freaking kidding me! What is wrong with you guys?" That would have been cool. There's probably some cutscenes somewhere of just him cursing at himself, like wondering how the hell he got in this mess in the first place.
Yeah.
It was pretty awful. I mean, he was a prisoner and he was giving them direction. Like, make a perimeter, use the tarp for some water, bank some water.
No.
He knew they were idiots. They were.
No.
Wild.
I am curious if well, we probably won't see it because it's too because there will be a year jump. But I just think it would be funny if like Cassian got back and he saw Luthen. He was like, "What the hell were you thinking with like making these people like trying to join like of the rebellion?" There's like, what is wrong with you? I would have loved to see that conversation because I think that would have been funny. Cassian's story of frustration. Yeah, you
He
could just
didn't
see him just
trust
going
them
like,
enough to even tell them about Luthen, which is
No.
hilarious to me. He's like,
Yeah,
"No, I'm not going to tell you guys anything." Bunch of morons.
yeah.
So the Legacy Nerd says, was the statue a reference to anything?
It was a reference to the Shen Julian culture, which I actually have a decent amount to say about that. So the Halcyon was actually made by the people of Shandrilla. And the glasses that you actually see, some of them were actually on the Halcyon. So I thought that was kind of
What glasses?
like of like the drinking glasses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, I was looking at them and I was wondering that, and I thought that there was one set that were. I
Yeah.
was on the Halcyon, so
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
and
Oh, I didn't know you went.
I did. I went on May the 4th weekend, the first May the 4th weekend.
Oh, dude, I didn't know that. Oh, cool. Yeah.
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 was-
Yeah. So I saw those glasses and of those drinking glasses, and I was like, I know exactly where those are from. And then we learned more about like the of the culture of Shendrilla, which is really interesting. And we've never actually been there in live action before. Um, uh, we've only heard stories, and it was really interesting to and cool to like have more lore building in the Star Wars universe, learning about their culture and stuff like that, and the people on the story team had to sit down and like come up with different things for it. So, you could see that they actually took the time to actually think of what they wanted to do for the wedding and just kind of add more world building stuff. So I thought all that stuff was very, very fascinating.
Anyone else notice? I think at the end of the third episode, Cassian, his look. Of course, he lost, Brasso, but I also think that that ceremony with pressing the bricks at the funerals on Ferrix, I think that also has a little bit to do with sort of the anguish in his final look before the episode ends, because Brasso's getting none of that. No ceremony, no nothing, just
Yeah.
left there. Really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel like every night we're gonna get deaths like this, and it's
for sure.
You just
it's gonna
wait.
be hard. And then
I
leading up
could
to
see I could see a few people surviving. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if Mon Mothma's daughter and husband survive. I mean, I don't see them killing them, but maybe they will. I mean,
I just have to think that you have to think that either here's my prediction is that either they end up getting killed in the Gorman massacre for some reason, they're there on a visit, and then Mon Mothma doesn't know it, and then they end up getting killed there, or she leaves the Empire, right? She like leaves the Imperial Senate, and then it turns out that the Empire captured her family. I think there has to be like, there's a reason why people haven't left the Empire, because they think the Empire has some leverage. So maybe when when her daughter and her husband get killed, maybe she's like, they have no leverage over me anymore. I can leave now. And that's part of the tipping point of being like, I have nothing holding me back. We actually saw that in Star Wars Rebels, of where Kanan was kind of on the Jedi side fighting the Grand Inquisitor. But when he thought that the Grand Inquisitor killed Ezra, he was like, he said something on the lines of, I have nothing to lose now. And he just goes haywire. And then that's how he beats the Grand Inquisitor, because he had nothing to lose. And I think maybe that's going to be the thing for Mon Mothma, where, something happens to her family. And then she's like, I have nothing to lose now. Yeah. And then, she will also say, my motivation is for the bigger cause, but the show is all about secrets and stuff, so she's going to keep the her feelings about her family a secret from the rest of the public, and she's going to use that angle of the Gorman massacre on her side, and that's what gets people to join the rebellion. I'm just kind of spitballing here, but that's my theory.
what's everyone's theories for next week?
jeez, I really have no idea.
More droid disco balls.
That was
actually
pretty
got
cool.
some super cool droids in these episodes.
Savage Press makes an appearance.
He's dead.
What do I
Hologram.
think? We need to get. I really want, like I mentioned, I want more plot points and things to like get moving. So I want to see Luthen and Cassian back together, doing something, plotting,
That
scheming.
makes sense.
I don't want to waste too much time them not working side by side. We don't have a lot of. We only got 3 weeks left, so like it needs to happen, and we need them together, figuring things out.
Yeah.
I think the Gorman massacre will get closer to that, since like that has to happen in 2 weeks, right? So
Yeah.
next week we'll all just be setting up what that looks like and who the key players are, and maybe the rebellion finds out too late, but they still um try and get in the way of it somehow. But
Yeah.
it'll be, the good guys will lose before they win by the end of the season.
Yep.
If that makes any sense. It's very
Yep.
Star Wars for that to happen.
Yep, and I think the Gorman massacre will be that. And it's kind of funny, kind of, thinking about this of like how we kind of know the timeline of, of what's going on. So it's like we kind of know what to expect, but we don't know what to expect. And again, it's because of Legends and Star Wars Rebels, and then you have the Timelines book, which if you guys don't have that, check it out. It is a phenomenal book. If you love to know about all the battles and the large events and everything, that's the book to get. It's absolutely phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah, Anna says she wants K2SO already. How they meet.
So there is a comic that was canon that we actually know how they meet, which I think that's going to be debunked and just kind of turned into its own story.
Oh,
It
wow.
could be similar, but yeah. I'm excited to see Alan Tudyk, and the way that Alan Tudyk and Diego Luna were talking at Star Wars Celebration made me really, really, really happy. So I can't wait to see that chemistry on screen again, because they both were fantastic on Rogue One, and Alan Tudyk cannot stop making Diego Luna like laugh. So I'm excited to see that chemistry on screen.
Yeah, I love that character. He was great.
Yeah. If you actually love Alan Tudyk, you should check out the Sidekicks panel footage that they had at Star Wars Celebration. That was really funny. It was Anthony Daniels, Ahmed Best, and then Alan Tudyk, and then Ashley Eckstein was the host for that, and it was just all over the place. It was wild. Like there was no filters. Like none of the actors had filters on stage. It was super, super funny.
Yeah, and you can find it on YouTube. I actually watched it this morning. Yeah, it went off the rails a couple times, which is always fun.
How's everybody still awake over there? I think is our audience falling asleep or what?
We're holding steady as far as viewership goes, so that's pretty good.
Both of them are still awake?
There's more than two, Craig. I'm happy to report.
What?
Yeah, it's 11:39 p.m. here in Central Time in South Texas. So, yeah, I think Craig and Colin are ready to hit the hay there.
Yeah, Colin looks like me. Like he's really holding on.
Yeah.
David, you all caught up on your sleep already?
I don't think I really suffer from jet lag. I didn't have any issues in London, didn't have any issues in Japan, but I did fall asleep, I think, around 6 a.m. and I woke up at 3 p.m.
I have jet lag just from watching Celebration from the U.S. as late as I was.
Dude,
Colin knows.
Yeah, I was so tired. I posted that meme of Yoda being like, "Yes, rest I must," and because I was so tired by the end of it, and I didn't even go.
Qui-Gon's robe.
Yeah, I was like covering the footage. I was posting on social media as much as I could David and James were crushing it though. Like during panels, they were like texting me what was happening, so I could post on on our social media channels and stuff like that. And then I was talking to Figure Brian on Instagram, which he has a big like kind of like Star Wars fact page and stuff like that. And he was home too, so him and I were just texting back and forth of talking about the panels and everything. But yeah, I was exhausted and not even go, but I was staying up posting. It was fun.
Hope they don't do that for like a while, because it made no sense. All the cool stuff was happening middle of the night, and
yeah,
we're missing it all.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, pretty much all the information is out there. Like all the trailers leaked. They were online at some point, and as
I
soon
got
as
them to
something
you
leaks-
right away. I got one of them
Yeah.
to you right away.
Yeah, it's so interesting to like of how different this celebration was compared to others. But yeah, I'm telling you right now, I think 2027 is going to be a big one for many reasons, because I think at that stage they actually have a lot of projects going on, because I mentioned a bunch of the projects they're working on, but by 2027 a lot of those projects will be in production, so they'll have a lot to show. There's probably going to be a decent amount of panels, and I think security is going to be more tight than ever. And unfortunately, I think they will go back to the lottery system, like more than what they did for this past celebration, and I think they'll be more strict with it.
Unless you have a VIP badge, Colin, you can just walk right in.
Oh, yep, you know me. Yeah, I would love to get one. That is a goal of mine and David's, is to at least get one VIP.
Dude, it would be a miracle.
For 1 year. Just 1 year. I just want it for 1 year, and then I can say I've done it, spent the money, even though the money was supposed to go to my kids' college fund.
You
but it's
can
fine.
never let it go.
Exactly.
You can never let it go. You have to pay for it, even if you're not going to that celebration, because you can't get a chance, because you'll never get it again.
It's like season tickets at Yankee Stadium. You just got to keep them forever.
Exactly.
Right. But at the same time, like, here's the thing. The 40th anniversary.
You're not talking me out of it, Colin.
I'm not trying to talk you out of it. I'm not, but the coolest thing to me about Star Wars Celebration was the friendships, the experiences that you had while you were waiting in line. David and I would not be here today.
You made
podcast, unless, I don't know. I guess not. I mean,
I don't know what I was thinking that day. I was a fool.
Yeah, I know. You cut in front of me. I was fine with David, but I still have a grudge against you, Craig.
That's not even true, because Jonathan was the one that was.
Oh, I know, and I still have a bone to pick with him too. No, I'm just kidding. It's just those experiences is what really made Star Wars Celebration, really stand out for me. That was my first big convention that I ever went to. I went in blind. I went by myself. I didn't know what I was doing.
Driven from like Michigan, right?
Yes, yeah, it was absolutely insane, and all my friends
took you under our wing, and this is how you betray us.
Yeah, okay. But
we took you under our wing. We gave you shelter and love.
Yeah,
you've blossomed into this.
Yes,
we haven't gotten much progress, but it's something.
Craig, you're absolutely right. I owe everything.
Not
to
much
you.
progress.
I'm so sorry.
He took on C2E2 all by himself. Isn't that right, Colin?
Yeah. That was a lot of fun. I think after every interview I did, I called Ted and David with just the utter excitement and be like, "Oh my god, let's go!"
Before and after every interview, you called me. You're like, "Hey, gonna do this, gonna do that." I'm like, that's great. Don't get over there. Hang up the phone. Go talk to all the Lord of the Rings characters right now.
Yeah,
you were basically like, leave me alone, right? Is that what you're saying, Ted? That's what I'm hearing.
No, I was just like, do not leave. Go over there, talk to them, like get it in the bag, get a well, we'll talk about it later, but I was like, make sure you get a yes before you
Yeah.
leave. And
Yep.
he did. He
Yeah.
did multiple times. Killed it.
Yeah, that con was fun, and again, most likely I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have those experience at Star Wars Celebration that I did. Like this podcast wouldn't exist. That moment when we were in the 40th anniversary panel, that was my like big moment of where it was like, wow, like I thought I was a big Star Wars fan, but now
do you
I'm surrounded
remember
with a lot of people that are what.
how crazy that morning was? That was such, I'm not even going to say the word that I want to say, a cluster. That
Yeah.
people that were in line ahead of us,
Yeah.
they didn't have enough people ushering them around, so
No.
people were walking around that giant room in circles, just in circles.
There
And
was one moment that we got in front of them, and they got so mad. I remember that.
Did they get mad?
there was more than one moment. We started booking it. We had no choice. Everybody was
Yeah.
running.
Yeah.
We
Because
advanced
of-
in line.
Yeah. Well, it's because the organization of it wasn't really clear to people, and I guess I was one of the only people to listen, so I went where the where the cast member was talking to them, and then someone that was in front of us before came up and was like, I camped in line before you. I was the first person in line, and now you're here. And I'm like, you can have my spot. That's totally fine. Like I'm fine with it. There's no.
It wasn't our
reason-
fault though. It
Yeah.
wasn't organized, and people that were behind us got in front of us too. So it was like
Yeah.
chaos running past those stairs and running into that room.
I really
mean,
want to know the
They
reason
should've just
why.
escorted
yeah.
the whole line slowly in groups.
I really want to know like the real reason why that they did the lottery system. I'm so curious of why they started doing that.
I think it was because people that couldn't camp out. I think
Yeah,
that's
probably
the
like
primary thing.
people that have physical limitations.
But then
like
again, they can get special stickers on their badges where they
Right.
don't have to do that.
Right. Have a lottery system for those people that want to actually not wait in line, and then have the standby line where that's the normal line where you can camp out and stuff. And then like it could be for money reasons. Maybe like people were like, well, people aren't really booking hotels because they're in lines all the time, so the hotels are losing money, so maybe we gotta do that, so then that way, like, because we're having it in this venue and area, that way the hotels are making money. Because no joke, I was not at my hotel for most of the time I was at Star Wars Celebration Orlando. I was in line, like camping out and stuff, or I was on the convention floor.
And what was ridiculous and really awful is that we finally get there, and the first 20 rows are for people that worked for Nissan.
Get out of here.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, yeah. How did you block that out, Colin? Like, don't you remember they were all
It
wearing
felt
like
like it
yellow
was 40
shirts?
rows, Craig, and it was like Entertainment Tonight and Access Hollywood and people that weren't like
They were like
fans.
Nissan. I remember.
Yeah.
You don't remember that, Colin? Like,
dude, I was out of it, man. I had a lot going.
You were with us for that, right?
Yeah.
We all got together. I remember Jonathan was there. David was there.
Yeah.
I'm sure I have the video. But those first rows in the center of the stage, there was like, Dave was right. It was like 40.
Oh, yes. Okay.
They were all blocked off for people that just worked the convention instead of people that had waited for all night long. Got way in the back. It was awful.
We actually, so I was pretty excited about 2022 because of when David and I were at the Lucasfilm panel over there. We actually got like really good seats.
2022. That was 3 years ago.
Right?
Anaheim.
Yeah.
That was further back than that, wasn't it?
No. Anaheim was scheduled for 2020. Then, of course, that was canceled. And then they just moved it to 2022.
Yeah.
3
Because
years ago?
Yeah. We were all in Anaheim.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, right? It's kind of weird.
That was a really cool panel, and we actually got really good seats for that one too. I was I was pretty hyped up for us because of we were kind of on the side, but like it wasn't to where like we were at a side angle, but just kind of like at a like where we saw the stage like kind of close up, and then they had John Williams and
What
and
month
all
was
that.
that? Do you remember when
That
that
was
came
in
out?
May. In May.
May of 22.
Yeah.
Craig's like, this never happened.
Craig, you were there.
I
You
know,
actually
but
got into the panel.
I know, but I feel like 22. That just doesn't feel right to me.
Craig, I promise you were there because I remember you were texting us and being like, I don't know if we'll end up getting
I
in, but
know
I'm
I
gonna
was
get
there.
in.
I know I was there. The year just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the end of May. It was the end of May because that's when we took this picture.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, I got a big question for Dave. You ready, Dave?
Sure.
Out of the last 5 major conventions you've been to,
Ooh.
I want you to rank them all. And you know which ones I'm talking about. You have 2 celebrations now in the last
Yep.
few years. You have San Diego Comic-Con, and
That's a
you
big one.
have Space Con, and you have Superhero Comic-Con, which happened in San Antonio, which was also a major event for us in the team. So those 5, rank them, go. I know it's tough.
It's
It
a
is
tough one
super
for
tough.
David because he really loves Celebration, but I also know how excited he was about San Diego. So
Yeah, I mean, San Diego is like a different thing
yeah.
simply because I was there as press. And when you're there as press for Celebration, you get like no access unless you work for Collider or someone like that. But see,
Yeah.
it was almost like I did work for Collider at San Diego Comic-Con because I was like right there with all the celebrities coming up on Hall H, and I was there at Hall H, and that's like a very hallowed place.
The
Yeah,
sacred
I
right.
can't wait for this year. I'm so excited.
But see, in 2022, I was interviewed by Vanity Fair, and they printed the article, and they had my name and the link to the podcast and everything, which was wild.
Yep.
And that was just because I stopped at Anthony Bresnikan when he was just kind of walking through the hotel. And in 2022, we got the actual Celebration hotel. So
Yeah.
we just like kind of walked out of our rooms and into Celebration. So that was awesome. But yeah, there's no way I can rank like the Japan Celebration. That's like almost at the very bottom for me, I think. But that first one in 2015 and then Orlando, I mean, those are so special. 2015, 2017, 2019, 2022, and then London as well. I think those are the best celebrations, and I think I'd put like Japan at the bottom possibly. But factoring in SpaceCon, that first SpaceCon, it was like Celebration. There were so many Star Wars people there, and we met a lot of them. I mean, we were able to see them up close, talk to them. I mean, it's like splitting hairs at this point. But yeah, San Diego was great, but I mean, it wasn't like a Star Wars thing. So but just being so close to these people was just mind-boggling. And I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought they were going to tell me, "Sir, you need to get out of here. This is reserved for."
Well, they did tell you that during the Deadpool and Wolverine battle.
Well, I wasn't supposed to be there. I knew I wasn't supposed to be there. I knew I needed to have like a ticket or win the lottery or whatever.
Yeah.
But I was like, I need to go to the restroom. Like, okay, well, that's for me, sir. And yeah, that was a whole crazy story into itself.
Thank goodness they don't do lotteries that often. That was the first Hall H lottery panel I've been to. And I've been to 5. I've been to 5 San Diegos. I've never seen a lottery panel before in Hall H.
No.
That was the first, hopefully a last.
This one's probably going to be a big San Diego Comic-Con, right? Because you've got, they're filming Avengers Doomsday, so we'll probably get some type of thing for that. You have Supergirl.
DC's going to get their act together and do something because they've not even been on the sidelines. They've not been in the game since 2018, really. So yeah, they have to come out and show out. And if they don't, then like, what are we even doing here?
We actually might get something for Star Wars because we'll probably get something for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie.
That would be
'Cause-
nice.
Yeah, because of they'll definitely be far in production for that. We might get something for Ahsoka too. D23 is in August, I think.
You
Or
know,
is
I was thinking about Ahsoka today, actually, and what they're going to do with that story. Because I'm thinking, how are they going to have the rise of Thrawn and the Republic and stuff? Yet they got to include Han, Luke, and Leia, right? You can't.
I don't know, man. That concept trailer for season 2 of Ahsoka looks pretty sick, and they are going to be doing like two different storylines, stuff that's happening with Ahsoka, Sabine, Shin, and Balin Skull on the other planet, and then you'll have the big overall like fight between Admiral Akbar and Thrawn. I'm so excited for that. That's going to be so
How could
cool to
Luke
see.
not be involved if he's the leader of like the Republic?
I mean,
You know what I mean? Like that would
he's
be
not the
insane.
leader of the New Republic.
Well, you know what I mean, like
Right. Well, so he's
Or
going off and
Leia.
doing. I mean, I think we'll get some type of Leia involvement. I think Leia not being involved would be weird. I agree with that statement. But Luke is going off and doing his own Jedi thing.
that
like,
would make no sense, though. He helped brings down the Empire, and then he doesn't do anything to stop Thrawn from bring the
Right.
Empire
I
back.
think we're gonna get him back in some form or fashion, but he's not
Yeah,
gonna be the main character.
yeah. I mean, because of Dave Filoni is getting a lot of inspiration from Heir of the Empire, and Luke actually has a decent amount of involvement in that storyline. So I think we'll be seeing a decent amount. I am excited to see what season 2 brings. From the concept art trailer, it looks fantastic. This giant monster, stuff with Balin Skull. Hayden Christensen is coming back as Anakin, so we're getting flashbacks, or we're getting like Force Ghost Anakin, where he's giving Ahsoka guidance. Like it's. So I had to show that real quick.
I think I just had a flashback right now.
Did
I don't know what that was.
David, he wasn't on your flight though, was he?
yeah.
Yeah,
He was sitting right in
was-
front of me.
I was gonna say he was like in Dave's row or
Were
something.
you
Yeah.
like? Were you? You must have been dying. He
The
was
whole
in the
flight.
row right in front of you.
No, not directly in front of me. I was in the right aisle. I think he was in the left aisle because I kind of like
You think?
kept an eagle eye.
Like you
out.
weren't staring at him the whole time. Look, he's breathing. Look, his breathing
Well,
normal. He's not
well, he
breathing
was-
like Darth Vader.
You breathed the same air as him on that plane,
Oh my
Dave.
God! Can we
among
share
other
snacks?
things.
You probably picked up his napkin that he dropped on the floor and put it in your pocket.
Finished his soda when he left a little
Yeah,
bit. In
he
the
was
cup.
in
Oh my
first
god, I can make
class.
a clone now. This is great. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in first class. I was in second class, but I was the first row in second class.
David, do better. It's not the same. I'm just
That second class ticket was a lot of money.
If you would sign up for Patreon today, David could afford,
what a great
First-class
segue.
flights,
What a great
which would have
segue.
gotten us exclusive interviews with Hayden Christensen on the plane. Just get on our Patreon today.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was super talkative, man. He was talking to a lot of people. I was surprised how like spry he looked and like jovial and that whole
And you
thing.
said his kids were with him?
His daughter, his 10-year-old
Yeah.
daughter, I believe, was there, and his ex-wife. I want to say. I don't think he's still
what was her
married.
name
to
again?
him.
I would say I wouldn't say anything unless you absolutely know.
I think it's his ex-wife. Maybe they're reconciling. I don't know.
Is
But
it-
I know she was
What
there.
was her name again?
Rachel Bilson.
Rachel Bilson. Okay.
She
Wasn't that
didn't
the
look
actress-
at me, but I saw her turn around and look, and she looked a little distressed. So I was
Wasn't
like,
that the
"Yeah, I'm
actress
not gonna."
from she was the love interest in Jumper, right? Or I'm wrong.
Possibly.
Possibly.
I think
I
that's
know
right,
she
yeah.
she got her fame on the OC, I believe.
Maybe he wanted to take, them to see Japan,
Well, no, well, yeah, well,
I'm still pumped that Ted was able to get them to talk about Jumper during his panel. That made me really happy.
Rosario loved that part too a lot.
Yeah. You also saw like as soon as you mentioned Jumper, I saw this like kind of like shocked kind of like smile and be like, "Oh, okay, we're doing this." And then like he was talking about it, I was like, "Yeah, let's go, jumper."
What a wild time.
Yeah.
Yeah, on May 4th, they're going to announce more Star Wars celebrities for SpaceCon.
Ooh, yeah. I
Antonio.
forgot to bring that up during our pre-show. We need to keep posting about SpaceCon 2025. I've heard rumors about who it's going to be. I'm not going to say anything.
I am flying for that one. I'm not driving. I'm just making that clear now because me and Zach did that drive. We drove what, like 22 hours, well, including like rest stops and stuff. So what, it was like almost like 25-hour drive back and forth. We had no cruise control on my car, by the way, because it was out.
Oh,
So,
Jesus. Wow.
yeah.
They're young; they could do it. And then, of course,
Right.
Craig is not going to come again because he has a planned family
I'm
vacation.
going to
He always
talk to
says-
Bob. Bob better listen up. You can stop booking it that weekend. What do it the weekend before?
Why
Tell
don't you
tell
just
the
move your family vacation? It sounds like your family will understand.
I always
Exactly.
take the kids to Fort Wilderness because it's decorated great for Halloween.
You live in Fort Wilderness. You live in that area. Just
No, but we
like
stay the weekend there because have you seen Fort Wilderness at Halloween?
Yes.
It's incredible.
yeah. So take pictures.
So
Go-
Bob needs to move it to the middle of October, like October 10th through the 14th, something like that.
Here's what you do,
I'm gonna
Craig.
call him. I'm gonna
You
talk
say
to him.
family. We're going to take a better trip this year. We're going to San Antonio. You're gonna love it.
Hey,
I
Craig.
promise you, we go harder for Halloween than Fort Wilderness does. I
Yes,
promise.
Craig. Ohana means family, which means no one gets left behind. Take your family on your trip. Okay. Go to Texas, have a good time, and then fly back, and then just close your eyes and glimpse and just pretend it's Halloween decorations.
Maybe next year. Maybe next year. We already have it booked for this year, but maybe next year.
All right.
If you look at the guest list so far, the family might be into it. Billy D. Williams has already been announced. Grant
You
Gustin.
get me Harrison Ford, and I will be there.
Wow.
just
family or
here.
not.
Wow.
The
There is a
family- what
price on your
family?
love.
What
That's the
family?
price right there. Harrison Ford.
They would understand. They would understand.
All you have to do is just walk around New York City. Apparently, he's by himself getting on the subway.
I know.
Can
It's
you
so
imagine
wild.
Harrison Ford being at a convention though? Like, can you imagine waiting in line to go take a picture with him?
It would be
I was going to
crazy.
say no, but then Dave and I saw him at San Diego, and he
Yeah.
looked like he was having a blast.
Yeah. Well, he probably wasn't happy
Weird.
with how the film turned out, but
He kicked Anthony Mackie in the butt on
he did.
stage. He
Yeah.
was like fed up with these kids. Kids meaning like Anthony
I can't
Mackie
imagine
and-
there's anybody like who would be big enough for me to be like, wow, that's Natalie Portman.
Mm.
That would be if Bob.
I don't know.
I imagine she's going to be at the 50th.
Yes. That would be
I
wild
mean,
if
I
she
think
wasn't
every
there.
living Star
Natalie
Wars actor,
Portman, maybe Sam Jackson, Harrison Ford,
Sam Jackson's
Yeah.
going to be there.
George
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Lucas. I would go for George Lucas.
Don't jinx it.
Man, who else? It'd have to be somebody. I mean, I've met so many already.
You are listing people that are probably going to be at Star Wars Celebration 2027.
Oh, I'm going to Celebration in 2027. I'm
well,
sure.
yeah, because Harrison Ford's probably going to be there.
I know, but I'm
That's
just saying.
why you're going.
Liam Neeson, or does nobody hold him on that high regard?
No, Neeson.
Oh
would
yeah,
probably
Neeson's going to
up
be there.
Uh,
Okay, let me ask Craig this: Harrison Ford, he's at Celebration
yeah.
2027 LA, the 50th anniversary. What's the amount of money you wouldn't spend for a photo op / autograph with Harrison
Doesn't
Ford?
exist.
How high would you go, Craig?
Refinancing his mortgage.
How high would I go?
What if
I think I would be. I think I would go at least to 5,000.
Whoa!
Oh,
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God, man!
Because
I was
I
gonna
feel
say-
by then his price, if he does decide to do it, it's going to be astronomical. It'll be the all-time biggest price
It
ever,
would
and
probably be the most.
But I think
expensive,
he
like,
would be
photo
the
op
only
you ever
one I
do.
would do that for.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't see myself doing that. Maybe George, but I don't think Natalie Portman or anyone else.
so a
If
photo
Harrison
op with
Ford
Harrison
ever
Ford.
did like actual paid like photo ops and stuff like they do at conventions, my guess would probably be like 950, 975. I
Oh
don't
no,
think-
he's clearing 1,000 easily, Colin.
Yeah.
What? That's
Yeah.
By the time
crazy.
2027 comes around, that's 2 more years. I mean,
The way I look at it is like that's a once in a lifetime experience.
Are we
It
doing
would
a group
be-
photo op of the 4 of us, right? Are we just going to split it right in the middle and then,
Split it 4
I'll
ways,
pay
yeah.
a tiny bit more so I can be the person actually next to him? Or,
there's going to be a
what?
lot of that going on. I'm sure.
Yeah.
The price is just going to be insane.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact amount, but there was a convention.
Are we the only
Uh,
4 listening to this? By the way, is anybody still watching?
Yeah, there's still a lot of people out there.
Really?
Yes,
More than 5?
more
Yes,
than 5.
actually more than 5. Yeah.
Yes.
It's like 6, and it's probably your account.
Shoot, how'd you know? Hang on.
I was gonna say I don't remember the exact amount, but Arnold Schwarzenegger went to a convention in our town one year, and I want to say just for the photo op, which included an autograph, I think it cleared maybe $1,200 or 13, something like that. So I would
I wouldn't even
imagine
blink at that for Ford. I wouldn't even
Exactly.
blink at that for Ford.
he would have to be more than Arnold for sure.
And
Yeah,
and it's not that I'm like willing to do it but it's like, ah man, a once in a lifetime opportunity to meet him. That'd be hard for me.
Yeah.
Not to, I mean, think about it. If I'm spending all this money to fly there and go there, like, am I gonna like what's your limit at? Like, is your limit 1,000? And then if you 1,500, you're gonna allow $500 to stop you from that once in a lifetime experience, right? Look at it that way. Are you gonna let $500 difference say no? I'm not gonna pay to meet Harrison Ford, who is probably like the top celebrity I'd love to meet.
Who says money can't buy you happiness? Not
Not
Craig.
me.
You know what's wild is I just did a meet and greet with Bill Murray
Oh, I love Bill
Yeah, I
Murray.
heard
a
about
month
that.
ago, and I went to an event before that where I met him, and the event was $500. But I thought that was a steal to potentially meet Bill, 500. But this meet and greet I did was at a concert that he performed at. Dave went with me, and the meet and greet was only $60 on top of your ticket, which
That's
was
awesome.
nothing.
That's crazy. How do you not
Yeah.
pay $60 to meet Bill Murray? I actually got to meet him as a kid. He was at a celebrity golfing tournament in
Wow.
Orlando, and I can't remember if it was because I lived on a golf course at that time. I can't remember if it was my golf course or another one, but he was so nice to us, and he was joking around with us, and I must have been 16 at the time, right? And he was just so cool to us.
Amazing.
I remember he was wearing this wacky outfit, wacky golf outfit. It was on the news and stuff, but so getting to meet him as a kid, because I was a huge Bill Murray fan. He's always been my favorite Ghostbuster.
Well, yeah, I mean,
He is the best.
Well, I grew up on it, Colin. You probably weren't even born then.
He was alive for
What year
the
did Ghostbusters come
sequel.
out, and what year did Colin come out?
don't you dare, old man, laugh at me. How dare you?
Was it 1984?
Hilarious. Yeah, the first one.
Oh, okay. I was like, wow, you actually think I'm that old? Wow, that's crazy.
And Colin popped out in 1997, 96.
96.
Boo.
He came out with the female Ghostbuster squad.
that was back in 2016.
You're closer to that than the originals.
Say what you will about that movie, but the trailer music, I don't know why, but the trailer music just stuck with me. The trailer music that they had for the first trailer of the 2016 Ghostbusters was actually fire. That was a
It is
fire. Yeah.
it's the best rendition of that
Yeah.
song. Like,
Yeah.
and no offense to the original, but like that one was epic. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't even remember it,
so
honestly.
good.
I tried to block out that whole movie.
Wow. All right, Craig.
It had its
Sorry, it
moments.
wasn't
Look,
very
those
good.
references on Star Wars Stuff podcast. I love it. This is what I bring to the table, guys. My apologies.
Yeah. There you
All
go. Yeah, I was gonna say, is there anything else you want to cover? It's been
I
a
think
long
that's
episode.
it.
guys.
Yeah, we'll find out probably more as we watch more and see
Oh.
more interviews and look at more recaps and stuff. And
And thanks for everybody for sticking around this long, both of you. I appreciate that.
I see 38 people watching this right now.
Yeah.
Wow. But you know what? They probably fell asleep listening.
Well, no, it was 36 and it went up to 38. So we got some
Comment
new-
if you're still awake. Leave a comment if you're still awake.
it's all of our awesome top tier Patreon supporters out there. Darth Ace
Yeah.
1, Lee McCallan, Chris Simpson, Kevin Leininger, Deb McCaffrey, Drew Peters, Zach Netzel, Maya Morris, Munkin Tautala, Adam Haber, Brad Mackey, Front Row King, Darth Beard. He was in the chat earlier. Indiana Solo, Mariana Atil Arnold. Thank you so much for all your tips. And Tokyo, Japan, Rest Jedi 27, and Alex Blundell. Thank you so much. Also, Legion Sabers.
Hey,
It's still out there. LegionSabers.com.
Yes.
Use the code STUFF at checkout and get 15% off.
I have a new one coming in on tomorrow, actually today.
wow, what'd you get?
It's the same Anakin Skywalker one is just upgraded. Yeah. Just in time for Revenge of the Sith. Instagram, go follow us at Star Wars Stuff Pod. We got some great stuff on there. We got some great videos.
Yeah, we have
X.
people looking at us. At Stuff Pod on X. We're on Blue Sky. Just search up Star Wars Stuff Podcasts. We're on Threads. Of course, as Craig has mentioned throughout the night, support us on Patreon.
I'm
Star Wars Stuff
begging you.
Podcast 2187.
I'm begging you, please.
And also, Lucasfilm, if you're listening or watching, you can email the podcast and send us some red carpet invites.
Nice.
Maybe Star Wars Starfighter in 2027.
Or the Mandalorian and Grogu. That's closer, David.
Or
Hey.
Mandalorian Grogu as well. I mean, I'm just throwing stuff out there. I don't
Come
know.
on.
And of course, Facebook Star Wars Stuff group and Star Wars Stuff podcast page. Some of you guys are watching us from there. Thank you so much. I see some likes. And that is it for this react show for the first year of Andor Season 2, episodes 1, 2, and 3. Join us again next week, Tuesday, pre-show and react show. And I think we're going to do another kind of detailed recap later on this week sometime. So stay tuned for that. And
You're also going to want to follow the Star Wars Stuff on social media because the SpaceCon event that we've been kind of teasing, we're going to be working on something that I don't think it's been really done in anywhere. So kind of a one of a kind type of thing. I'm not going to tease it what it could be or what it might be, but
Yeah, I
let's
was
just
going to say,
say-
I'm going to have to talk to you after because I'm intrigued.
let's just say it'll be completely worth it if it works out, if we can pull it off.
All right. There you go.
all right, for Ted, Colin, Craig 5, my name's David. And may the force be with you.
Always.
Always.